But he still fired over his head.
And he did it like willingly. He didn't have, like in the one case where we said the guy was gonna like rape the woman, but she said her daughter was coming home, so that possibly influenced him. But here, you know, he just did it on his own merit and drawn out, even though he had already
In the case in the book, he doesn't rape the woman because she says her daughter's coming home. Although they said that was, so what is this called that we're talking about here?
It's internal or enunciation.
Enunciation or abandonment? And so what is the rule?
You have to completely.
What, does it make a difference that he fired the gun? What if he said, I want to kill the deer and missed, as opposed to what these facts say, he or she felt sorry? That can be different. Is that significant?
Well, if he felt sorry, why he still shot at the deer over the head?
Well, it does seem a bit crazy, but maybe at the last minute. It just does that make a difference that he says he felt sorry, he or she felt sorry for the deer?
It does make a difference, but I say that he will be guilty of an attempt because he did not completely and voluntarily renounce his criminal purpose.
Hey, repeat what you say you didn't completely and
Involuntarily
voluntarily
renounce his
okay,
criminal purpose.
why would you say that?
Because he felt sorry, but he still shot the deer over the head. You know, he did not completely I feel sorry, I dropped my gun. He didn't do that. You know, so that's why I think he will be guilty of an attempt.
Okay, you said.
Can you say that one more time?
Well, the definition of abandonment is that when an individual who completely and voluntarily renounces his or her criminal purpose is not liable for an attempt.
Okay. And what did you say your reasoning was?
The fact that he, even though he felt sorry, he still shot over the deer's head. He did not completely.
But I thought that what I read was he shot over the head to miss the deer. I mean, he could have clearly aimed it right at the deer, but he shot over the head.
But why couldn't he just drop the gun?
I mean, why he's shot over to aim not to miss the deer? What if he was in the middle of it and he let it go already and he made it slightly go up instead of dropping the gun? Dropping the gun could hit the deer as well. So I think that he did voluntarily and intentionally because he intentionally shot over the deer's head to miss the deer, and he renounced his
Criminal purpose.
by feeling sorry for him. So
Okay.
I don't know which one is right.
I think that just the feeling sorry for it, that takes away the intent of killing a deer because he intends to miss on the deer. So if he's performing the act of missing, that's different than shooting at the deer and missing because he's not shooting at the deer.
So he could have hit the deer if he wanted to, presumably, or she could have,
Right.
but deliberately or intentionally did not.
Right, and then he changed his intent. He wanted to miss it, and that's what he did. So.
Okay.
It sounds to me that we got a burly guy here, because he just wanted to fire that gun or something. So he just, well, I'm already in the stands. I'm gonna shoot anyway, but I won't hit the deer.
Okay, so how is C different?
The police.
Why does that influence?
He did it voluntarily abandon? It was not a police officer that made him abandon?
So in this case, it wasn't voluntary because the police officer. So that would be abandonment?
No.
Because it was done in reaction to what they call an extraneous, extraneous factor. Okay, so that is number 2.
Yeah. So the first part of number 3, number A, make sure that you answer both. Is X guilty of forgery and is X guilty of uttering? So let's go with forgery first. Is he guilty of forgery? Why? Why not?
Because he falsely altered an existing document without the authorization of its owner by signing the name of the owner.
Okay, so you said X materially altered a legal document.
Without the authorization of its owner by signing the name.
So the act was altering the document, and the intent was to, what's the intent that I need when I alter the document? I could take a check up here and alter it right front of the class, would that be enough? What intent do I need?
To give it to somebody,
What's the intent?
to deceive someone with it?
If I alter a document, if I sign your name to a check right up here, is that forgery? Is that all I need to do?
You pay for the car with the check, so that shows it's done.
Gonna intentionally deceive someone with it?
What intent do I need when I write your name on the check?
To cash the check, the money.
To cash the check?
Yeah, 'cause
What do we call that? Am I doing it because I want to show that I have a good penmanship, which I do not?
The intent to defraud?
To defraud. So I'm doing it with the intent to trick, to be deceitful. I'm not just doing it because I'm practicing my handwriting. Okay, so so we can just amend what you said about material alteration of an existing document without authorization with the intent to defraud. Okay, so how about uttering? What does that mean?
You have to use the check.
Have to use the check? Well, you can make a paper airplane out of it?
No, and submit it as an authentic document.
Okay, so I have
He did
to,
when he went to get the car.
so I have to have the act of passing the document with the intent to defraud the person.
Yeah.
To defraud. So there are two separate crimes. One is I'm altering the document with the intent. The other is I'm actually passing the document with the requisite intent. So we have two different crimes. Okay, so now false pretenses. Where's the false pretenses here? What does that mean? What is false pretense?
Promising or selling something
It
and.
says is why guilty of theft of money involving, why guilty of theft of money and false pretense? Why?
No.
So why isn't why guilty of false pretense? Or why is that the case? What does that mean, false pretense?
Like, he knowingly misrepresented the car, or he intended to defraud, or he, pumped it up to be something that it wasn't. But I don't think he's guilty because he says that the car is a chick magnet, and I think that's his opinion, and opinions aren't false pretenses. And then another part was the tires, but I said that that also wouldn't be a false pretense because it wasn't essential to buying the car, and X had already said he planned on buying new tires anyway.
Okay, you've given us a lot of information here. So, so false pretenses, I have to have the act is a misrepresentation. And my intent is to get you to give me title or ownership. And so you're saying that Y, despite these misrepresentations, is not guilty of false pretense.
No.
So what is the technical term for what Y does?
This is just puffing.
What's that word?
He's
What does that
puffing.
mean, puffing?
Like he's just making allegations or bragging about the car.
Bragging about the car, is that the definition of puffing?
No,
What do you mean by
Exaggerating,
puffing?
is that an expression of
exaggerating.
opinion or exaggeration?
The kind of exaggeration you normally expect in a commercial transaction that people no one would take necessarily seriously. And how about the tire?
I don't think.
Why is that? He misrepresents or she misrepresents the tire. Why isn't that false pretense? Why isn't that a deceitful misrepresentation of fact?
Because it's not central to the transaction. And X had already said he was gonna buy
Yeah,
a new one.
to buy new tires.
Okay, so why is that important that X says that X is gonna buy new tires and doesn't care.
Maybe they were in the goal.
Then it's not a factor if you plan.
Okay, so it's not material to the transaction, because X could care less. And so it's irrelevant, even though it is a misrepresentation. It did cause X to buy the car. There's one other reason that this isn't misrepresentation. What about the statement that you will have no problem attracting, it's a real magnet, and that X will have no problem attracting people eager to date X? You said that that's pumping. What else is the problem with that statement? If you buy this car, you will have no problem in the future.
Future, only past or present tense.
Must be a past
Or
or present, and that's a misrepresentation of the future. So that doesn't work. So for all those reasons, we don't have false pretenses here. Okay. So how about skipping over embezzlement for a second? How about Ivana told me she thinks this is a robbery. Is she correct?
No.
What?
He's not
Ivana
correct.
said this is a robbery. Is she correct?
No.
Oh.
You're not
Okay,
correct.
tell her why she's incorrect.
Because the robbery and the act would need to coincide, meaning that the intimidation and force would be needed to obtain the wallet, and it was just merely taken out of his hand. And also, when the act of violence took place, the robbery had already been over, so it didn't happen, like, robbery, the physical part of it is needed prior to taking the property. So he had already taken the property and given it to somebody else, so meaning like the crime was over, then came back and kicked them or whatever.
Is that a continuous sequence?
So what is it, so that, why, T grabs X's wallet out of X's hands. X trips while chasing T and breaks X's leg. T escapes and gives the wallet to T's co-conspirator, who leaves with the wallet. T now returns to the scene of the crime, taunts X and kicks X in the ribs. So why isn't that, what's missing? So robbery involves taking property from the person or presence of another person, carrying it away. That happened with the intent to permanently deprive them of the property. So why isn't this robbery?
Because it was in a continuous sequence.
Why isn't this robbery?
Is it because he passed the wallet off to his friends?
Well,
That's
after,
when the theft,
but doesn't that show an intent to carry it away and
Yeah.
deprive the person of the wallet?
so it's theft.
Why isn't this, or maybe this is a robbery?
It's not because he didn't use violence when he took away the wallet.
Is that the standard you miss? You have to use violence, you have to like
Intimidation.
hit somebody over the head with a hammer?
Well, he didn't use it. I mean, he used the fact that it's in a robbery because when he gives away the wallet, he comes back and starts hitting him. That is not a robbery because it was not part of the robbery itself. So the violence that he uses after was not to rob him anymore because he already robbed him. So it would not be considered a robbery. It was not a continuous sequence. It was in a continuous event.
I think it is a robbery.
It is a robbery. I mean, no, it's not.
It's larger.
I think it is a robbery because you don't need the violence to do it. You just need to commit the act and have the ability to do the violence. And, I mean, they took the wallet, got it away from him, permanently got it away. The fact that you turned to kick him and taunt him has nothing to do with the robbery. The robbery already occurred. They took the wallet. He didn't, like, have to use force to take it, but he could have at any moment. But he still took the object from him. And he took it from his
So
own
does that
person.
make it a robbery? He or she took the wallet?
Yes.
What do you need to show when you take the wallet? Okay, force or intimidation.